I've been looking forward to this moment all afternoon. You have no idea how excited I am to be here with you. And if you are too, go ahead and do smash that like button. We're going to be looking at the indexes today. We're going to be looking at the stock market to see what is going on because clarity is unfolding and our next move will soon be upon us. We're going to take a look at the equity markets. We're going to focus in on the dollar and the interesting price action that occurred today. We'll check in on gold and silver, and then we'll see what's going on here. A couple of questions to ask you on Bitcoin. Let's start over here on the S&P 500 since we got it up over here. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Looking forward right here. Look what's developing over here. Every one of us has been aware of this triangle that's currently developing. You see, we held it this morning. I said this morning I wasn't really concerned about the lower support of that. And the reason being is because there's no way I'm looking for a buy entry over here. I'm waiting either for a breakout on this trend line above us. That would open up another leg up. That's something that I will get involved in to the buy side, to the long side, right? If you're looking at individual stocks, that's going to be your key. It's time to get involved. However, I'm also watching this over here. I'm watching this trend line over there. If we get below that trend line, right, that opens up a big correction after breaking above this triangle over here. If you step back, you can see that big triangle. If we boom, 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 right? If we fall back in it, that would be a technical negative event. However, the question is, what happens on the break of the triangle, Jordan, right? If we now break out over here, there's a long way, right? I'm going to show you over here between the trend line over here and the break of that triangle. It's about 2%. That's a pretty big deal on the indexes. Will we trade it, right? Something to look at, something to consider. That's up for you. That's up to you to decide. I could give you and show you what's going on in the markets. Ultimately, you're the one making decisions. If I am doing something, I'll let you know. But, that's what I'm looking at right now. Let's check out the Nasdaq as well. Let's see what's going on. So this is interesting over here, right? As we come back, testing that, coming up right into resistance. This trend line is resistance. This is what has kept me from being bullish on the equity markets. Now, there's a whole bunch of other moving pieces going on right now in the world. I'm not focused on macro. I'm focused on what's going on in front of me here on the 8-hour on price alone. There's so many variables right now. That's the only way to do it. So I'm going to continue focusing on what does that mean? Well, if the Nasdaq climbs back above this trend line over here, and then I have all indexes with bullish behavior, well, I believe that we have some room to go. I'm going to be involved in that. So the Nasdaq over here on the verge of possibly breaking out. I wouldn't trade this unless we had a breakout, retest, resumption, and then we'd be looking at all the indexes at that point to see where the trade might be. If the Nasdaq's breaking out and the S&P's making a new leg up, this could get interesting. We're going to want to ride the wave regardless if we think it's the best one or not. Here is also, right, the Dow. Look at this. I see the Dow over here testing into resistance right now. That's resistance right now. It's small. It's local resistance, but it is resistance. If we see the Nasdaq climb out of there, we see the Dow start pumping up as well. And then over here on the Russell looks very healthy. It looks like it has its eyes on all-time highs. Yeah, there could be a lot of up room. I think my attention is either going to be on the Nasdaq or on the S&P or both of them. We'll take a look tomorrow morning. There's no trade to be had overnight. Speaking of overnight, take a look at this. This is S&P 500. Absolute performance since May. Notice, this is not since May, by the way. This goes back for a decade, the same exact pattern, and longer than that as well. I wish I had my Trader's Almanac to let me know exactly. But this is the overnight session over here in red. And you could see the disconnect between the day session and the overnight session. This is if you, at the close, if you go ahead and you buy S&P, right? And then at the open, exit the trade, you could see the great disconnect. Last night was different, right? Last night we had a down, well, barely, price barely moved. Price was basically unchanged. So interesting to note though, right? Let's go back to the chart, see what's going on over here. I lost my train of thought. I lost what I was saying, but there will be no signal. There's no way I'm taking the Nasdaq long here on the breakout, until we break out, retest, resume. Same thing with the S&P. We got resistance. We got to clear this resistance first. That's why I wanted to show you that chart. Let's look at the DXY for a moment. Interesting price action that occurred today. That's a blue box that we've been sideways in. Look at this now, actually. Look what's going on. All right. First of all, let me clean this up and let me talk you through it. And what we're looking at here is the dollar index, right? This gives us a clue of which way the dollar is trading. Now, the DXY happens to be heavily weighted towards the euro, right? And then after that, the Japanese yen, then the pound. But nevertheless, it does help me have a good feel for the market, right? So over here, you could see that, right? We broke out above that trend line yesterday. After the close, there's about 1 hour of the day. There is 1 hour of the day that the DXY after the close doesn't trade. When it opened up above this support line at 92.50. It gapped up there and then ran up and then has come back down, right? This morning at New York, it was testing that trend line and this was a failed breakout. That's why we never trade breakouts. Also, we weren't looking to trade the breakout to the upside. Why? Because of this blue box. We're completely sideways. We're waiting for a breakout above to say, all right, the dollar is beginning to strengthen. That's right now. Things can change. Obviously, into next year and a few months from now, our reversal will be at a lower level. But where we stand right now, that's what we're looking for, above 94. Now this is a failed breakout above that trend line over here. Price coming back to the down of the down testing the lower support of that box. What does that mean? Well, it's on the verge of actually breaking down. Could you see it? Right? And if that does, sometimes on the downside, price action could waterfall down. You might not get the original retest, breakdown, retest, resumption. That's okay if that happens, right? Because price will probably stop around here at the yearly low, bounce, then we would look for the resumption down to get involved. That's a trade that will become very interesting. I was looking at the pound US dollar. Let me step in and check in on it right now. The pound US dollar. So by the way, this is for all CTM members, all Conquering Trading and Investing YouTube subscribers. I always talk about that the hours a day that I trade, which is all of London. But if you get a signal that occurs, by the way, the last 2 hours of New York, and this is occurring the last 2 hours of New York, they are valid signals. What do I mean by valid, right? Well, they work out. They're just far and few between. This is one of the occurrences that it's happening right now. So a limit order over here exactly right now. We're at entry, more or less, right? 1 or 2 pips off. I'll be looking at that myself in a moment. But those are good entries. What I mean by good, I mean if you take enough of them overall, it's in your favor. And that's what traders and investors are looking to do. They're making to look bets that are the odds are in their favor. All right, so this looks interesting because the pound has been leading the way. The pound, right, above that last bit of support has come back in, tested it, and now resuming upwards as the DXY, is on the verge of breaking down.
I can't play for Paw Patrol. I know what happened.
You can't play for Paw Patrol? So the dollar has not broken down. The DXY has not broken down below this support over here. Nevertheless, I take signals as they occur. That pound US dollar is trade what's on your chart in front of you. If this does break down, we could see a bigger move on the dollar, testing and perhaps breaking yearly lows. Interesting to say the least because of the reversal that we saw today. What does that mean for gold, by the way? What does that mean for, look at this. This is also interesting for me because gold broke down over here. Now this isn't, this little bit of resistance isn't a big deal, right? This is the line we've been watching around 1847, right around there. You can see that we held. Nevertheless, you're still in no man's land. Let me go ahead and just push this up over here for you. We're in no man's land, not only between this area, but all the way, especially through, everyone knows, everyone who's watching, between that trend line. There's no trade to be had over here. Do you take that, buy it right now? No way. I would not. I would wait for some clarity. Gold has to repair some technical damage. Gold, for me, needs to trade not only above this trend line, it needs to trade above 1914 before I'm interested again in the precious metal. Look, this is an entry over here. This is not what I look for. I look for high probability trades. I'm looking for clarity. I'm not looking to take a trade just because there's a trade. There's a big difference, you know? That's why I don't waste my time. I don't waste my resources. I don't waste my capital. Either which way. There's a trade entry right there right now as the support holds. No question about it. I have no interest in taking it. It's there. Perhaps someone else is. All right, let's jump over to silver. And the silver looks actually a little bit better in my opinion. I've been saying that ever since the breakout, right? I've been saying that for about a week now, that silver is looking better by gold. That's a big shift for me. But over here, you could see the breakout, the retest, and now we're still holding over here. Our resumption off over here, it's happening right now, right? Is that a place that you want to pick a spot with a tight stop? It's a good looking trade into the resistance, by the way, into the 26 resistance, right? Above that, silver should be really making a move over here. Interesting. That's all I'm going to say. The precious metals, unexpectedly to me, are actually beginning to be back in play. Silver leading the way, in my opinion. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. We all know what's going on with there for sure. The question I have with you today is, would you... Here we go. That's what we're looking at. By the way, right there was the trend line that that we all been following for a long time, positioning ourselves into Bitcoin before the breakout, retest, resumption. Would you buy Bitcoin over here if it had a 30% pullback before making new all-time highs? Right? What is a 30% pullback right now on Bitcoin? 30% Bitcoin will come in, let's say, right around or right exactly. Oh, that's interesting. Right around, it's coming in right around 12,585, 12,600, right above the 12,450 support area over here. Would you buy it? Would you be a buyer at Bitcoin at 12,500? To be honest, look, I'm not sure that I would. Reason being, at 9,000, I'm fully positioned in. And now here I have a healthy, good profit. I like trading from a position of power. I'd rather actually take my first 30% if it was about, above this area over here. This is the Heath line over here, the last swing high, right, before the halving. That is coming in at right around 1380, 13,800. I would feel much better about adding 14,000 and higher than it would at 12,500. That's me personally. I caution towards what? I caution towards safety. I'm not looking to take on risks. But Jordan, you have over 50% of your net worth invested in Bitcoin. Exactly. I'm not looking to take on risks, right? And by the way, that number is much higher now as Bitcoin has since increased over 100% since I was fully positioned in. Think about that. I don't know. So questions for you. What would you do? Would you take the first pullback? Historically, it's the safest entry you can get, right? And if you're not fully positioned into Bitcoin yet, that's definitely something to consider. Before I leave, there were some things I wanted to show with you. This is the Bloomberg dollar index. It's weighted a little bit different, but what I wanted you to see over here is that reversal that occurred today. By the way, does this pattern over here, this is all of November, does this look bearish or bullish to you? This is the dollar index. Here's another look at it. This is going back to 2016. Here's where we had the whole dollar milkshake playing out over here. This was during the crisis, the dollar liquidity crisis. And then over here, right, I was a dollar bull, been a dollar bull. Even over here, I kept everyone on the right side of the trade. You remember that? This was in December. Kept everyone on the right side of the trade. Over here, switched to dollar bear. And then over here, we've been doing our best to navigate. Look what's happening over here. We are breaking down over here. Are we looking at on the DXY making yearly lows? And then over here, multi-year lows on the Bloomberg dollar index. Possible. You gotta flip when the market flips. You can't be holding on to your milkshake, hoping it comes back. What else is going on? We got Bitcoin over here. That looks very bullish to me. And then what else? We have crude oil. Before we leave, I want to look back at oil over here. I've been watching oil now, I don't know, I guess for about, ever since we broke out outside this channel, it's kind of been on my radar. This is the daily chart. That's fine. What I'm watching here, you can see breakout, retest, resumption. I'm waiting for a break above that resistance over here, above the break above 42.80. Yes, there's a little higher as well into 43.65. It's that whole area. Be aware of it. Here, let me make this cleaner for everyone. That way no one is getting left behind. In this area, a breakout, a new swing high, that would open up a place that I might be, well, I wouldn't take the trade, but nevertheless, I'll point it out. Everyone, that's it. Have a beautiful afternoon. I'll talk to you soon.